Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pink and Channels. Looks like Norwich City's first signing of the summer is very near. At the time of recording, I believe he's having a medical at Carrow Road or at Colney. Looks like by the time you're watching this, he probably will be a Norwich City player. Of course, we wanted to get a little bit of insight into José Córdoba and what better place to go than an expert in the Bulgarian league. Really excited to be joined by Kai, who knows everything to do with that league. And Kai, first and foremost, how are you this afternoon?
I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Excited to be talking about a potential addition to Norwich City. Of course, that is José Córdoba, a 22-year-old centre-back, currently playing for Levski Sofia over there in Bulgaria. I believe their season came to an end last Sunday. What's their kind of season been like more generally, and the team he's been involved with?
It hasn't been a great season on Levski standards because they're usually part of the top three, and they kind of fell out of it, mostly because of board problems. There's been player protests, there's been ultras being banned. So, like, on Levski standards, it's not a great season. But I mean, of course, in the Bulgarian table, they're doing fine, but their financial problems are really ramping up right now, and the relationship between the president and the fans is quite terrible. Frankly speaking, they just hired a new manager, so it's not a great season so far.
Yeah, of course. He came originally through the Panama divisions, played for Independiente, went across to Spain, struggled there at Celta Vigo, then came into the Bulgarian leagues, been at a couple of clubs, of course, currently now at Levski Sofia. What's his kind of profile in Bulgaria? How highly is he rated by those that watch the Bulgarian league?
I would say by far he's the best defender we have, at least this season in the league. Firstly, because he was not expected, because before coming to Levski, he was also at Veliko Trnovo, which are in the second division. And he settled in really quickly in Veliko Trnovo. Then he arrived to Levski on loan. And the first months were maybe a bit shaky, but then he adapted really quickly. So to me, at least from my perspective, he's by far the best defender. He received an award for the best defender of the league, I think, like a few months ago as well. His profile, he's someone who's a very aggressive defender. So he's someone who leads by his interception. He's someone who likes to anticipate the game, who likes to go higher. Someone who's definitely not afraid of challenges. So I'm not really familiar with Norwich's season and especially what needs does the squad have. But if they're looking for a young defender, because he's only 22, who's really into being proactive, I think that's the profile because in terms of interception, he's really good at reading the game. So I would think that's definitely the strengths. He's sort of anticipation. He's very comfortable with the ball, albeit sometimes he's too comfortable with the ball. But again, he's 22, so I'm not really surprised. For the negatives, I think he still sometimes draws too many fouls, and for Sofia that was a problem for Levski when they had to face free kicks from dangerous area following his either yellow cards or falls drawn. So that's a problem. But genuinely, I think if you're looking for an aggressive defender to step out of his line, that's the right profile.
Yeah, I think Norwich sort of are looking for a ball playing centre back. You mentioned he's quite comfortable with the ball. Is that something that you could see therefore adapting well? When he comes across to Norwich, the Championship's quite a physical league, but also they need defenders that are good on the ball. Does he fit that profile?
I think it's really hard to say because adaptation is really hard to predict because I will not lie to you. Going from the Bulgarian league to, for example, the championship, that's a big step to do. So, I mean, it's really hard to say because the thing is, unfortunately, in Bulgaria, the level of our attackers is very low. And of course, when you go to the championship, the attackers on average are more physical, they're more precise. You don't have as much room for mistake because he's also a very physical player. So to say how much he adapts, I don't know. I think he definitely needs time, that's for sure. But I do think he has the tools, that's for sure. Now, how rapidly, and especially culturally speaking, how he adapts in his new role or teammates, that's a different question because at Levski Sofia, he mostly plays as a wide center back. On paper, he's a center back, but left-footed. But of course, on in reality, they build up in the free, and he plays this wide center back row. So I'm not sure if Norwich build up in a similar way. In case they do, that's helpful. If not, he might need some time to adapt. But I think he will adapt at the end of the day. I think he will.
Yeah, Norwich trying to sort of build a possession-based side. So it feels like maybe he is going to be the right sort of style of profile for them. I believe he can also play left back. Is that true?
I guess he can, yes, but I think that's not a good role for him because the thing is he likes to step out a lot. So I mean, unless you really have a center back next to him who can hold back, you're gonna have troubles with him going upwards as a left back because you're gonna have a lot of space behind him. So that would be something to watch out for. But yeah, he can play it.
Yeah, I believe there's been quite a lot of interest in him sort of over maybe the last season or so, been interest from France and Turkey. Rangers, of course, were in for him. Are you surprised he decided to pick Norwich? Obviously, there is the financial probably benefits of moving to England, but then obviously you go to Rangers and you potentially play European football, which of course he's been used to at Levski. Surprised he's coming to Norwich?
I admit I was surprised because from on paper I think that Rangers makes more sense for him from a personal development because for me Rangers and the Scottish League as a whole that would be like the perfect stepstone so to say because the bulk between the difference between this Bulgarian and the Scottish League is high, but I think the championship is even higher. So I think for personal development, it might be a very big step for him, and I'm not sure how he's going to deal with it. But at the same time, he also did jump from the second to the first Bulgarian league in no time as well. So there's that.
Yeah. Do you feel maybe the lure of the Premier League, potential promotion with Norwich next season, the chance to go to the league that everyone wants to play in, is that maybe something that you could have seen as a draw for him to want to join Norwich?
I mean, I guess probably by itself, I think for him just going to the championship alone, that's already a big thing because it's by far the biggest league he's been in, considering that in Celta Vigo he did not have a great time, so I wouldn't really count it. So that is by far like his biggest step in his life in his career. Now, did he really think about the Premier League? I guess so, but from the reports we were told, it was more about the financial decision that reports in Bulgaria, at least from Gong Bulgaria, said that he would earn more at Norwich. So, like, that was often quoted as a reason instead of the sportive reason.
Yeah, I think his value is around about 3.5 million euros. I believe that's quite high for Bulgarian league players. Do you
Very
think
high, very high.
is that sort of a worthy value on him, or do you feel maybe that value is too low, too high?
I mean, it's hard to say because, like, again, I'm not really inside Norwich. I don't know how the finances are, how much you can afford to pay or not. I think it's rightly priced. I will admit I expected lower. I would expect around 3 million, maybe a bit less than 3 million. So it was a nice surprise, but at the end of the day, it makes sense because when you have two clubs, Rangers and Norwich, who are looking for the player, and given that both teams needed that sort of profile, I suppose it makes sense that the value was a bit upgraded, so to say.
Yeah. What sort of ceiling do you think he has as a player? What potential do you think he could grow to be? Obviously, know it's difficult to tell at this point, and maybe it's going to be this move to England that might tell that. But do you think there is a real good player in there that could develop to become sort of one of the best players, I suppose, in a Premier League circle or top flight somewhere else?
I definitely think that's a very big step, and I would be surprised if he does that. I mean, of course, it depends how he adapts and especially how he fixes his mistakes because at the higher level, you can't draw that many fouls. Like, this is too much opportunity for the enemy to potentially use that. But at the same time, the lad is 22 years old. So I think for championship at the moment, he's a great player. Can he win the Premier League? I really doubt it, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I suppose just finally, do you see sort of fans from Levski following his career when he moves to Norwich? You often see sort of other countries where a player's been successful at a club, they then go and sort of look at his progress. Can you see a lot of the Levski fans maybe keeping a keen eye on Norwich next season?
That's a good question. If I'm honest, when preparing for this, I did not think about that one. Um, I think maybe some people will, but I really doubt it because the thing is, the Levski situation right now is terrible enough for people to only focus on Levski alone. So I think maybe if he gets mentioned in the papers, if the BBC mentioned him or whatever media, we might take a look at him. But I don't think he'll be closely followed. I really doubt it.
And just finally, obviously, he plays for his country in Panama. Do you think his chance, moving to England, do you think that's going to sort of boost his opportunities, I suppose, in terms of an international stage? I know he's got 10 caps already, but I suppose playing in England, that's probably going to build his profile a little bit more.
I mean, yeah, as you said, like he has had 10 caps. So I mean, it's as far as it, given his age, 10 caps is already more than good. But definitely, I think if you go from playing in a league where I suppose people from Panama don't even know we exist, to playing in, either the Championship or Premier League, yes, that's by status upgrades him by a lot, I'm sure.
That's great. Really do appreciate your time this afternoon, Kai. Of course, it's an exciting proposition there for Norwich City. Lots of good insight there, which is something we can take forward. And of course, hopefully we see the best of him in yellow and green at Carrow Road this season. So thanks for joining us. And hopefully there'll be a few more of these between now and the end of the summer.